Hi there, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're so glad that you have joined us. We think about you when we're not on the air with you. We keep you in our prayers, and when we get to spend this time with you, it is just such a great blessing for each one of us. Hopefully, Debbie, we are helping people feed their faith every day, but that's our topic today. We're going to be talking about not so much those, really kind of like routine day-to-day things, going to daily mass, spending time in adoration, praying the rosary, the chaplet of divine mercy. We want to encourage you to do all of those things. But Debbie, there are really, I think, less frequent but very important things we can do, like go to a parish mission or go on retreat or even go to a faith conference. And we want to hear our listeners' takes on, if they've been to these types of things, how that has sort of given them an extra boost in their faith.
Yeah, how it has kind of catapulted you to the next level and really deepened your faith and allowed you to really know yourself better and of course, learn and know more and about God and to be able to serve God in a deep way after you've come through a pilgrimage or retreat or a conference or, even a day of reflection, anything that can help you just really grow your faith and feed your faith. That's the theme for today. So we want to hear from you. Call in. Lines fill up very, very quickly. We can't stress it enough. In fact, sometimes we move our eyes away from the computer screen for 30 seconds. Next thing we know, all the lines are full. So don't hesitate. 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, in fact, you may be in the midst of a parish mission right now because it is that time of year. A lot of parishes during Advent will have missions. You see it a lot during Lent, too. So what's been your experience of, say, a parish mission or, retreat? Maybe you've gone on a silent retreat. I've been on silent retreats before. I'm a talker for a living, so silent retreats are hard for me. But they're very, very, incredible growth opportunities. And you know what, Debbie, what going to large conferences has done for me?
What?
And I want to hear from our listeners, if you've been to a conference with 1,000 or 2,000 people or more, you get to look around and you go, wow, I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. I think for me, Debbie, it's just given me this sense of, spiritually about the communion of saints in heaven. But then when you get to celebrate our faith with hundreds or even thousands of other people, I think it just gives us that sense that, wow, we really are a big universal church.
Yeah, big mega family. Those mega conferences, that's exactly what they do. They really inspire people to realize they're part of a much bigger plan, of God's plan for all of us. And we're part of that. And we're a vital part of it as well. And so feeding your faith, that's what we're talking about today. And like we said, the phone lines are filling up. So if you want to jump in, share about maybe how you feed your faith, how you grow your faith. How can we inspire others to continually feed their faith as well? Because so many people I know in adult formation, Jerry, they'll say to me, aren't I done learning? Aren't I done growing in the faith? I think I got it. I think I know all I need to know. And the answer is absolutely not. Not until you take your very last breath on this earth are we done forming ourselves. That's why we do this show, which is really a ministry, a peer ministry, that we're all together learning and growing, because we grow or are changed for the better every time we learn more about each other and learn more about God. So jump in at 1-800-585-9396.
And what is really inspiring is the growing number of events that are available to the faithful around the country. EWTN family celebrations, for example, happen on a very regular basis. And we'd love to hear your take if you've been to an EWTN family celebration. In fact, Debbie, there was one in your hometown of Phoenix just a couple years ago, right?
Yes. Oh, and it was packed. Thousands.
How many? Several thousand people?
Oh, yes, several thousand. It was just packed, and it was such a great experience. I mean, it was amazing just to be. You just walked around and you felt at home, and you learned so much. Got to you were able to. They had a big store set up, so you were able to get all the resources you needed to even further your faith, and it was just a lot of excitement. They had a big broadcast stage set up, and then they had all the talks going on in the other conference area. And it was just a wonderful experience. I mean, in fact, Phoenix has talked a lot about wanting EWTN to come back and do it again. So,
all right, our phone number, 1-800-585-9396, 1-800-585-9396. Your takes, really touch and impact a lot of lives. So don't underestimate the impact that you could have with sharing your experience of a faith conference, a retreat, maybe a pilgrimage or a parish mission. You might be somebody, Debbie. A lot of lay people today are really taking initiative. Men and women are going to their pastor saying, Father, hey, can we have this or that event in the parish? I'll spearhead it. I'll coordinate it. So I think we're seeing really on a grassroots level, a lot of people are hearing about things going on like this and saying, why can't we do this? And they're getting involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's wonderful to see the momentum building and people really understanding how important it is, especially now in this day and age, Jerry, to really grow our faith and to really elevate ourselves and our spirituality and know more about God, learn the heart of God, and really it enables us to go into the world and be of service to others and bring them closer to God. So it's a much more bigger picture than just for ourselves. This affects our families, it affects our communities. It's a perfect discussion. As you can tell by the passion in my voice, this is a topic that I really love to talk about because I really believe in my heart of hearts we all need to hear it, and we need to hear it quite often. And so if you can dial in and share your experience or maybe give us some of your wisdom, we sure would want to hear from you at 1-800-585-9396.
All right, we'll have Rich roll our first break here. And, conferences are also a good place for young men and women to learn more about and maybe even meet the spouse of their dreams, learn what marriage is, be around holy, devout, other young people, like-minded people. Same with young men and women who are encouraged to a possible priestly or religious vocation. So the fruits of this are myriad, and we want to hear your takes. 1-800-585-9396. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back.
This is Patrick Coffin. Join me for Catholic Answers Live. It's 2 hours dedicated to Catholic apologetics and evangelization. Designed for Catholics and non-Catholics alike, it's your opportunity to hear from and talk with some of the leading apologists and theologians in the church today. You've got questions? We've got Catholic answers. Catholic Answers Live, weekdays 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Get an insider's look at the latest information from EWTN. Sign up for Wings, EWTN's weekly email newsletter. Get the latest information about live events, special features, and guests. Connect with EWTN on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just go to EWTN.com and click on the Wings link to sign up. Don't miss a minute of all that's happening at EWTN. Get your wings today.
Hi, this is Marcus Grodi. Thanks for listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Welcome, dear friends, to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about feeding your faith today. What does that mean, feeding your faith? Well, we want to hear from you. What does that mean to you? Well, phone lines are almost completely full. We have one open phone line, and I believe it has your name on it. So dial in at 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to call. You'll speak to our call screener, and you'll get on the air. Hopefully you'll be waiting, and you can hear the show live so you won't miss a thing. And this is an exciting time. I think we're at a perfect time, Jerry, a perfect time for us to feed our faith in a strong way. We're facing a culture right now and a world right now that has a lot of us, I would say, in fear. And you know what? To really educate ourselves in the faith, that's the only way we're going to combat that fear. And I think that it's an important topic for us to have, and obviously our listeners feel the same way.
That's right, 1-800-585-9396. Your takes are right now. Bob, you called first. You get to go first from Indianapolis, listening on Catholic Radio Indy. Hi, Bob. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, thank you very much.
Good to have you on the show, Bob. What's your take on this?
I wanted to share with you that about the Cursillo weekend. it's not spelled the way it sounds. It's Cursillo. And it's a 3-day weekend that I attended probably 8 years ago. And it really took my faith from my brain to my heart. And it's a great weekend because there's a lot of accountability afterwards. You keep following up, and it's just a wonderful weekend.
Well, Bob, yes, absolutely. The Cursillo movement is just an amazing, intense a weekend that really does have you get deeply rooted in your faith. And as if you have a couples, it's my understanding, Bob, if you want to make sure that this is a confirmation that the husband goes first and then the wife goes.
That's the way it used to always be, but here in the central Indiana area, we don't necessarily adhere to that. So if the wife wants to go and the husband hasn't gone yet, that's okay. And I think the reason why they wanted the husbands to go first is because guys are the hardest to really get them enthused and ready to go.
Interesting.
Women are, and here in the central Indiana, our women's weekends fill up very quickly. The men's weekends, it's maybe 2 weeks before the weekend starts, and we're not full yet.
I want to draw people's attention to the Cursillo website, the National Cursillo Movement, Cursillo, and those who attend are called Cursillistas. And it's Cursillo, Cursillo.org. Bob, I don't know if you know the answer to this, and Debbie, you either, but I have talked to so many people who have gone on Cursillo weekends, and I would, if I didn't know better, I would say there's something magic about them, because I hear that those who go in are at all different circumstances in their marriages. Some of them, in really a bad place, others just wanting to kind of draw closer together as a couple. And at some point during the Cursillo weekend, it's almost like, these amazing, almost miraculous things happen. Bob, am I hearing this right? Was that your experience?
Yeah, I think you're close. You spoke about couples wanting to strengthen their marriage, and I'll just diverge a little bit. The marriage encounter weekend is awesome for that. My wife and I attended Marriage Encounter Weekend probably 35 years ago, and it really changed our marriage. And what the Marriage Encounter Weekend does for your marriage, the Cursillo Weekend does pretty much for the individual. And on the weekend, it starts on Thursday night and ends on Sunday night. And on Thursday night, you see people there that, saying, why am I here? Gosh, I would rather be home. And by Saturday afternoon, the Holy Spirit has just taken a good grip and just really just flying through the weekend.
Wow, that is amazing. You can hear, and you were sharing earlier when you first called in that it's lasted with you. So it's really has taken root in you. Share just a little bit more about that.
Well, one of the things that makes the Cursillo weekend and Marriage Encounter, as far as that's concerned, what makes it different from most retreats is that there is I don't want to say organized, but there is a kind of a defined follow-through. And you mentioned people who have gone are called Cursillistas, and those are Spanish terms. But the people who have gone on a Cursillo weekend are encouraged very much to form or get into a what we call a group reunion.
Right.
Right. And that you meet as regularly as you can. The one that I meet with is every week, and the way that it keeps it going is it keeps you accountable to your growth in faith. You constantly keep aware of how God has been moving in your life throughout the weekend, and what kind of study that you're doing, and what kind of evangelization efforts are you up to. So it really keeps it up front and almost kind of in your face kind of thing. It's just very much of an accountability thing.
Right. I was hoping that you would, Bob, thank you so much for the call, and appreciate you making us aware again of the Cursillo movement. And I was hoping that you would touch upon the ongoing groups, because that's exactly where I was trying to head towards, is that to be able to have those accountability groups and to be sustained in the faith is what keeps the faith constantly growing and constantly forming inside of ourselves. And that's important. That's important to have that ongoing like you said, accountability. I love that. That was really good. And so those groups help. And so thank you, Bob. Have a beautiful, beautiful, blessed rest of the day. And thank you for calling in, being the first caller on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. And I think we're going right along to Sue, who's driving through Indiana. And Sue, I guess they're saying you're driving because they want me to say, do you have a hands-free device that you're using, a headset that you're using as you're calling in? Welcome to Take Two. Hi, Sue.
Hi. Yes.
Hi, you're on the air.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. I am driving. I'm driving to a conference. Immaculate. Let's see if I can say it without murdering it here. Ilibagiza.
Ilibagiza, yeah.
Ilibagiza. Okay, sorry. I've seen her once before at a retreat. Not a retreat. It was more of a speech. But she's wonderful, and of course she wrote the book Left to Tell. She's a survivor of the Rwandan Holocaust, and she survived in a bathroom. I believe it was 6 or 7 other women. Of course, they couldn't lie down or anything, and she had a vision of the Virgin Mary during that time. And also during that time in a town in Rwanda, Kibeho, there were visionaries seeing the Virgin Mary and talking with her, and she was talking to them. I believe there's only one visionary left that is seeing her, and that visionary is going to be at this conference also in Evansville, Indiana. And so I guess reading the books and seeing people that have had such a close contact with our mother is really inspiring to me.
Yeah, that is a great call, Sue, and I have actually had the opportunity to interview Immaculate Ilibagiza. Her story is, like you said, truly amazing. You mentioned the Rwandan genocide, and she and a few others did survive, like huddled up in a bathroom. They snuck food into them. The authorities came and searched the house, from what I understand, several times. And just for whatever reason, I guess the Holy Spirit, blocked them from going into that bathroom or whatever. So Immaculate is now giving away the great gifts that God has given her. So I hope that's a blessed conference for you. Do you know about how many people are expected to be there, Sue?
No, I don't really. In fact, I just got notification because I get emails from her website, and I think it might have been a last-minute deal with this conference, because I got this email about 3 days ago saying she was going, and so I said, I got to go. So,
wow.
No, I don't know how many people. I guess I don't care that much, but I'm excited.
Right, it's going to be a life-changing event for you. And for those who are interested in Immaculate's story, her name is like Immaculate, although it's IMMACULEE, Immaculate.com is where you'll find her on the internet. Sue, thanks for calling, and please
thank you.
keep us in mind. Say a prayer for us at the conference if you would, and we'll pray it's a blessed experience for you. Janice and Liz, you are our next couple of callers here, but I want to invite others as well, because we have the line open that Sue was on. Feed your faith. That is our topic today. What do you do? Again, just kind of beyond these things are not unimportant. Mass, weekend mass, daily mass. rosary, prayer time, adoration, family prayer, prayers and meals, all of that stuff we encourage you to do. But do you take time once during the year, twice during the year, every couple years to get to a conference, to go to a retreat, attend a parish mission, a day of reflection, something that is a little bit beyond the ordinary where other people gather together, you're all of like mind and heart? How has that impacted you if you've done that? 1-800-585-9396.
And if you've been on a retreat and you found it to be a wonderful experience that you felt that has really helped you in your faith walk, tell us about what happened after the retreat, because there is this common occurrence actually that we used to call it the retreat high, that you get on a really strong retreat feeling, and then when you come home and you face the world and you face your life situation or maybe the stresses that are around you, all of a sudden that retreat experience seems to take a back seat or a back burner, and you just start to forget about how wonderful you felt on the retreat, and then it actually kind of has the reverse effect where some feel really kind of blue about it because they miss that. So tell us how you can, like we used to do with the teens all the time, we used to say, you got to keep the retreat high going every day. So you got to figure out how to do that. And there is a technique to that by maybe having Christian music, wonderful spiritual music around you, or having constant resources and CDs and DVDs.
Join a prayer group or a youth group. Yeah.
Exactly. And it really keeps that retreat high experience, which is really important because you want to you're growing at rapid speed when you are open and you are filled with that enthusiasm and excitement for your faith, and it really does have these huge growth spurts. And so it's important. 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to dial.
All right, to Philadelphia we go. Janice is listening on Holy Spirit Catholic Radio. Janice, you're up next here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. What's your take on this?
I'm a Cursillo also from Philadelphia, and I made my weekend about 4 years ago, and then my husband made his. We didn't know about it. We're both in our 60s, and we didn't hear about it in Philadelphia. But my daughter surprised us with. She sponsored me, and I didn't know anything about what it was about. So we went out to Hampshire, Illinois, and it was just beautiful. It was a wonderful experience that you don't forget. And the good thing about Cursillo is that you don't just make the weekend and then you're done. You do some grouping, whether it's once a week or once a month. You go to Ultrea. So you stay focused on your piety, study, and action. And my husband and I are now on Secretariat in Philadelphia. And we just had our 50th anniversary last Sunday at St. Martin de Tours in Philly. And also back in, I think it was July, we had our 25th national celebration at Villanova. So we're on Secretariat, and we're, very, we do grouping at our home every other week, and then we go to a friend's house every other week. We just can't talk enough about it. We have a wonderful spiritual director, Father Gennardi, and so we're just, we're going to have coming up in October of 2016, we'll have the Women's Weekend, and November 2016 we'll have the Men. So We're looking forward to that. Anyone that's interested can go to phillycursillo.com, and anyone from Philadelphia can. Otherwise, you go to the national site. And
right.
So it's just been wonderful, life-changing for us. We really enjoy it.
Janice, thank you so much for the call, and thank you for sharing. We could hear the passion and the enthusiasm and the conviction in your voice of how happy you are that you and your husband went through the experience. So we're going to take a quick break, and thank you so much, Janice. Have a beautiful day. When we get back, we'll get to more of your calls here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Check out EWTN's official YouTube channel.
Just follow the link on our homepage at EWTN.com or go to YouTube.com/EWTN.
Watch EWTN's live shows or today's homily from the Daily Mass.
Click the upload button to see our most recent clips.
You can also find all of EWTN YouTube content by clicking the playlist button.
It's all on the official EWTN YouTube channel at YouTube.com/EWTN.
Visit today.
60 Seconds with Mother Angelica.
We need to pray for the gift of knowledge, not just knowledge of our faults, but knowledge of God. Do you know God? Or is he just somebody that you go to when you're in trouble? And this gift of knowledge is a certain amount of detachment. Oh, we don't want to hear about that, do you? We're attached to everything, little things, silly things, chairs. Don't sit in my chair. Why? Because it just fits me. It doesn't fit you. You're too fat. Well, if you ever said that to somebody, you're attached to what? A chair. You can be attached to God, and you can love everybody. You can love your children and love your parents and love even your enemies. But attachments take the soul out of your heart.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
What's stopping you from becoming a Catholic?
Why can't women become priests?
I don't understand why I have to earn salvation.
How is it possible that God created everyone?
Why do I need to confess my sins to a priest?
Why is the Catholic Church so unwilling to The Catholic Church is too rich.
Catholics worship Mary and are committed.
As far as I'm concerned, all religions are equal.
You are called to communion with Dr. David Anders. Today, 2 p.m. Eastern, on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
We love having you tuned in, and even more so, calling in with your takes on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're talking about feeding your faith by joining other people, large crowds sometimes at conferences, maybe a little bit smaller crowds at retreats or parish missions. How has that been a blessing in your life? Maybe you, like Janice, our last caller, Debbie, my goodness, it sounds like she's just, if I can put it this way, got the fever, because once you get a taste of something like this, you just want to do more and more of it, and I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Feeding your faith, that's what we're talking about today, so if you'd like to jump in, you can call in at 1-800-585-9396. We're talking about ways that we enhance our spiritual walk. We really grow our faith in leaps and bounds when we attend certain conferences or experiences that allow us to really grow and learn at a rapid pace. So we're going to move right along in South Dakota. Liz is waiting so patiently. Liz, I'm going to give you the Patience Award today, Liz. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Oh, hi. Thank you.
Hi, Liz.
Yes, you were talking about keeping your faith alive.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, long story short, 3 years ago I went through a nasty divorce, and a Catholic friend of mine that I grew up with across the street in Rhode Island, he was Catholic family, I remember, and he called me, and he drove how I was doing, and he drove up here from Florida, and he said, I don't know if you're interested, but you should go to, there's a lot of good stuff to read in this Catholic and in the Bible and the Catholic readings and teachings. And he went with me to some classes, and he had to go back to Florida. I mean, he really built me up, I was really just in a bad place crying, but I went through the confirmation and the classes, and it was all great. And I've got my 16-year-old son to go, but he doesn't want to go now. And so I the last few months I've stopped going because I haven't felt, the warmth there like I did from my sponsor that got me through the class. So actually, it's what has got me back into it, and feeling like I need to get back to the church to have Mass is very important. Is your show, the station. So that's
awesome.
what I really have to say that has got me back into prayer, and even like you said, even for good things, not for bad things, for good things. With my daughter at university and my son in high school, so that have.
Yeah, sorry about that, Liz. I'm just very inspired, though.
Me too.
Liz, to hear how the Holy Spirit is working, and we have to have an openness. See, this is the thing. I'll be very honest here, and probably very revealing for a moment. It's been a number of years since I've made a retreat. It's been too long, and it's come onto my mind so often, Liz and Debbie, and I just keep thinking, well, I don't have the time, I'm going to be busy. But, it's something that the Holy Spirit prompts us to do. And, Liz, it sounds like you have just really had that docility to the Holy Spirit that has led you to a pretty good place in your spiritual life.
I think so. It almost gives me shivers. They gave us all the gift, a cross with Jesus. Sometimes it saddens me to see him, on the cross, but it forces me to kneel down and pray. And at church, if I go to church, I always cry, and that's one of the reasons I don't go by myself. And when I pray, I always cry. And then my sponsor told me that was the Holy Spirit working in me. And I think I believe what you say. And, I put up crosses, and I have a picture of him. And, my kids respect that. I'm working with them a little bit. It's been hard, but it's hard to get through, teenagers.
Well, yeah, and Liz, you were talking about you get moved to emotion during prayer and during Mass, and that's that can be the gift of tears. And so, I mean, tears are really a very powerful a thing that happens to us. Emotions are very powerful. It speaks volumes. It speaks of our heart. When we cry for joy, we're feeling that joy inside, and it's just flowing out of us. When we're crying in maybe a little bit of just not sure what's happening, where we're going, even in sorrow or even in pain, that's our heart is open. Our heart is oozing to have God's complete love, and so it really can be a healing thing. And a real beautiful thing if you kind of look at it from that sense, because I have experienced that as well, and I've had a lot of people share with me, like your sponsor has shared with you, that it's a powerful thing that happens to us and emotions. And I really believe in my heart of hearts. This is just me talking now, not representing the Catholic Church, but I just believe that God, I think he welcomes our emotions. I think our emotions means that, we have a pulse and we can feel things, and that's important. And so, Liz, thank you so much for sharing your story today. And it's a very important story for all of us to learn from. And you did that today quite well. So thank you for calling in to Take Two.
Well, and we have the account of Mary, Martha and Mary, and I think it was Mary who was sat at the feet of Jesus. And if I have my biblical stories straight, and I may not, but when she wept, and anointed his feet with her tears, dried them with her hair. So yeah, I think if we get the gift of tears, or just get emotional about our faith, not in some unhealthy, unbalanced way, but
sure.
If we just sense a love of God and a gratitude for him so much that it even leads us to tears, hey, go with it. It could seem really uncomfortable, especially if you're in a group of other people, but I think that is truly a gift from God. So Sue, thank you Liz, thank you for joining us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We got, let's see, next, Nick. Nick has been holding a while, too, in Indiana, listening on Sirius XM 130. Nick, you're on next, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Pretty well, Nick. Thanks for calling.
Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Just fine.
Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm actually a truck driver driving a semi through the state of Indiana on my way to East Chicago. And I actually am going through a divorce like the other lady just called. We're getting ready to finalize it in January. And I already called the deacon my church about the annulment process. And it sounds like I'll be able to probably get one since the marriage wasn't really a marriage. But anyway, I had a calling to the priesthood when I was younger, and I went into the seminary, and I ignored it because I was enjoying women too much. I had a girlfriend, and I couldn't break up with her. So anyway, I dated all kinds of other girls, finally got married, didn't work out. I broke up with my wife about 3.5 years ago, and I started praying a lot more and going to a White House retreat in St. Louis, and I do the Liturgy of the Hours. I've been doing Liturgy of the Hours pretty much my whole life since high school, and I do it on the phone now. They have an app on the iPhone called divinemercy.org. I do that, and I so when I'm driving the truck, I'll turn an 11-hour day into an 11-hour retreat. So I'll listen to a few Christian songs on the Message on Sirius XM. And then I'll do one of the prayers from the Divine Office, and then I'll listen to 3 more songs, and then I'll do a rosary. Then I'll listen to 3 more songs, go back and do another prayer from Liturgy Hours, listen to 3 more songs, and then do another rosary, and back and forth. And then, so I'll basically cover the whole Liturgy Hours for the whole day, and then I'll pray the whole rosary and listen to the Liturgy Hours. I think I'm repeating myself, but anyway, several times in the past 3.5 years since I have left my wife, I have felt this calling back to the priesthood. And like the other lady getting emotional, I've actually gotten emotional around 4 or 5 times. And actually just yesterday, in fact, I got really emotional when I was praying and thinking about my calling to be a priest. And so I went on the website for the seminary, and it said that if you are in a marriage and you have an annulment, you have to be celibate for 2 years. I'm like, well, I haven't dated anyone in 3.5 years, so I got 3.5 years of celibacy down, so I don't think 2 more years after annulment will be much of a problem. So I'm just calling to ask for everyone's prayers in my vocation, and that's about it. I know I don't have much time to talk on the phone. You guys have to move through the callers, but
well, Nick, Debbie and I are both we're looking at each other and just kind of smiling and just listening to your story. The first thing that comes to mind is God writes straight with crooked lines, and you've made some choices in your life, and I'm sure you felt that they were the right thing at the time, and God is perhaps leading you on a different path right now. Only you and He can know that for sure. The annulment process is in place, as we know and have talked about on this show, for this very purpose. Obviously, if that were not to come through, then that would rule out the possibility of a priestly vocation. But, from what you, if I recall, you make it to, sound like there is that possibility there. And as the church said, a couple of years, and there's other reasons too, not just so that for the celibacy issue, but just so that you can kind of let Debbie. You could probably talk about this more as far as waiting a little bit after an annulment to just sort of regroup, get recentered, kind of let the dust settle, if you will.
Well, in all processes in the church, I mean, there's always a time of discernment, a time of preparation, a time of just, you hit the pause button. You just really regroup. And Nick, it sounds like you're doing that already with all your prayer, your discipline of prayer every day, and now asking for all of us to pray for your vocational call. And yes, you put that out there, and we will pray. That's what we can do so well, and together we can do it very powerfully. But I think the church in its wisdom, there's always a discernment and a waiting period and just a holding period to really, so that you're not going into any direction too quickly. so that there could be, a wrong turn or, kind of a skewed kind of, the discernment. Maybe you thought you felt something or was called to something and maybe you weren't. And so the church in its wonderful way has a time of that just, staying as is and really getting rooted in your faith and what you know to be true and prayer. And Nick, it sounds like you are doing that. And so we are going to pray. And I think it's vitally important for all of us to remember that when there is a strong vocational call and a strong pull, it's important for us to explore them, and not just try to fit into a life's box that maybe you were thought of that you should do. Like a lot of people, I know this from being a parent. I have a lot of friends who have kids that said, oh, when you get married and when you have kids and I want to be a grandmother. I have so many friends that say that to their kids. And maybe that's not their children's vocational call. Maybe they have a whole different path. So it's important for us to be open to vocations. And it sounds like you are, Nick. So thanks for calling.
Yeah, Nick, thank you very much for the call. We'll let you get back to your driving there. Be safe. I think the important thing is you're taking action. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just kind of get this paralysis, this vocational paralysis.
Right.
I'm not really sure what to do. I think it's this, but I'm going to wait and, till Jesus, rings my doorbell and I open it up and he's standing there and tells me what I'm supposed to do. So, Nick, great, inspiring. Nice to hear from you. Quick break on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, then more of your takes on feeding your faith here on EWTN. Don't go anywhere.
It's the start of a new day for Morning Catholic Radio.
Another thing to rediscover is there are just some things we used to call them acts of God. One time I had a very angry parishioner who was pointing to the parking lot and blaming me for all this ice at the other end. It had rained and it was freezing rain overnight. And I looked back at her and I said, I swear I didn't do it.
Morning Glory, Catholic from the start. Weekday mornings, 7 Eastern on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Chaffetz Arena on the campus of St. Louis University will be the venue for the first ever One Faith Experience and One Faith Extreme. Tickets are now on sale for this amazing one-day event next April 23rd. You'll be inspired throughout the day by 6 world-class Catholic speakers, including Tim Staples, Father Larry Richards, Hector Molina, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, Sonia Corbett, and Adam Bly. That evening, the Thirsting will lead off an unforgettable concert headlined by 2-time Dove Award winner Matt Marr. All seats are reserved and are expected to go fast. To learn more or purchase your tickets, log on to onefaithexperience.com. That's onefaithexperience.com.
Joined us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We're talking about feeding your faith today, and we've had some great calls come in that really has inspired us and really has kept us realizing that we must make a real effort in keeping our faith journey growing and moving closer and closer towards God. We know that Catholic radio does that. We know that EWTN does that, and that's why it's so vitally important to have it on your radio and television, because it really does feed us and let us grow closer to God. But there's other ways we can do it too in the community, in our parishes, with retreats, pilgrimages, even going to a day conference or a day of reflection, and it's really a wonderful way to grow our faith. Okay, Michelle in Long Island, also waiting so patiently, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes. How has this helped, or what have I done to help my faith grow? I'm going to try and tell this story really quick because I know you're busy. 32 years ago, after suffering 4 miscarriages and the death of my first newborn baby, I became very angry with God, whom every well-meaning person told me God had his reasons for this. And I became very angry with God, and I wound up abandoning my Catholic faith temporarily. When this child would have been approximately 12 years old, I had been reading New Age material and all that kind of, horror that I now know is horror. And I had a very scary experience one night, very late at night, while reading something. And basically that experience made me understand that the book that I was reading was really the catechism of He Who Shall Not Be Named. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that experience frightened me so much. The following morning, I fell down the stairs, and I broke my foot literally off my leg, completely off.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I came home, and I was disabled for approximately 6 months in a wheelchair, also with very young children. God went on to bless me with 2. Actually, now I have a 3rd beautiful child. However, that experience caused me to be incapacitated, and a very remarkable thing started happening. In my mailbox, I was receiving basically brochures for Catholic literature, not anything that I solicited or ordered. And it was remarkable to me that I think the Holy Spirit was not abandoning me, although I abandoned my faith. And I wound up starting to read all of these materials to the point where my husband said, "What are you, joining the seminary, the nuns? What are you doing here? You're reading all these books." But
that's funny.
It's really funny if you knew the whole story, which we don't have time for. I wound up becoming very well educated, including reading the catechism about my faith. And I understood it, and I fell back in love with our faith. And I understood that God never caused the death of my 4 miscarriages. He never caused the death of my child. He didn't cause me to fall down the steps. However, what is that line that comes from the Bible? God turns all things to good to those who believe in the Lord. I don't know where that comes from.
Book of Romans,
Yeah, so I understood that. So people have been recommending that I go to Cursillo for many, many years. I finally consented, went, and I had that beautiful high that everyone talks about where my heart was converted. I understood. I really, really felt the love of God in spite of my, sin of abandoning my faith temporarily. It was just an error versus probably a sin. And I understood it all. And it wound up making me very compelled to join prayer groups and to live my faith, to understand more and more and more. And that was 20 years ago. Currently, I'm sitting on the property of the Shrine of Our Lady of the Island on Long Island, where I come regularly, even if I can't get into the chapel, just to sit and do Eucharistic adoration and pray. And much of that is really triggered by listening consistently to the point where I aggravate my family, EWTN 24/7, your program, all the programs.
Is that right?
It's very, very valuable to me, and it has helped me to understand my faith. And my faith has only grown, all as a consequence of going to that one initial Cursillo event, which reconverted me back to the faith.
Michelle, I love so much of what you said, and Debbie and I again are just nodding in just delight at so much of what you're saying, because as you're talking there, I'm thinking about how God, and I love the part about how there's so many different elements to what you shared, especially even the part about being angry with God. In fact, I want to mention to our listeners, it's a ways away from now, a little over a month, but January 14th, we're going to do a show that we have titled Jesus is a Big Boy. And the whole idea of the show is, have you ever told Jesus how you really feel about a situation, And I have. I guarantee you, Michelle, I have. I have let Jesus know that I was not happy with certain situations. So we're going to do a whole show on that on January 14th. But, I'm sure you realize how blessed you are, Michelle, that God has led you back in the direction He has, because a lot of people who go through experiences, and by the way, please accept our condolences, on the loss of those children, and we pray for them, and we believe that they're with God.
Yes.
A lot of people, Michelle, don't recover from that, and they can, really, really get angry with God, and that just leads to a life of just bitterness and anger and quite frankly, possible loss of their soul. So you've been given a great gift, and I'm sure you recognize that.
Absolutely do. I understand that tragedy God is not the author of tragedy. Rather, I think the darkness in the world is the author, and if that author can steal our faith and steal us away from God, well, then look at what He's done. It's the ripple in the stream, the pebble in the stream. The effect that my life could have had on all of those around me. I could have damaged so many people. had I remained
Yeah.
bitter. But the Lord loves us so much, he forgives us, and he continues to call to our hearts. What is that about the hound of heaven? He calls to our hearts constantly, but we have to respond.
Wow. Michelle, great call. Great call. Great life story. And thank you for sharing that with us today. You really have moved us. You moved us forward with your story. So thank you for that. We're going to get to one more call. Mary in Iowa. We're going to try to get to you at Holy Family Catholic Radio. You're listening on. Mary, welcome to Take Two. We only have just a couple minutes, but we wanted to get you on. Hi, Mary.
Thank you so much. I'm watching the clock, too. My husband and I just did the Cursillo program in September and November, and I'm so grateful to hear the other people because I feel like my experience was it was pretty intense and hectic for an 80-year-old, but who's used to taking a nap in the afternoon now and then. But I just feel that a lot of scales have fallen off on my heart, and I just feel so much more aware and spiritually thirsty. So I'm really grateful to hear the other people and the way they have followed through, beginning the journey. That the weekend is really, the question to us were, what has the weekend meant to us, and now what are we going to do? So it starts a process and a journey. So I'm going to bring that to the attention of the others because I'm anxious to get going. And one project that I thought of is that I just heard on Catholic Radio, and we just have our own Holy Family Catholic Radio, and I'm proud to say that I'm the founder and the station manager now.
Wow.
But
God bless you. Thanks for doing that, Mary.
It's been such a blessing. We still have issues and improvements to go, but I just heard that they're starting a movement of 1 million rosaries to stop ISIS. And I'm feeling this will be one thing, as well as natural family planning. I just have a lot of ideas. So please, everyone, let's us Cursillo brothers and sisters keep each other and the world in our prayers. And also, I have 2 grandchildren. I'm praying for Vocations. So I will certainly keep the gentleman who called in, considering his returning to his call to priesthood, that he'll be in my prayers.
Yeah, that was Nick. Thank you, Mary, for all of that. And again, great, huge thanks for helping to start Catholic Radio. This is the kind of person who's answering God's call, Debbie, and making this show possible.
You can hear the joy in your voice, Mary. Thank you so very, very much. Dear listeners, you were just so great today. You drove this show. You hit a home run with this one, Feeding Your Faith. Well, you can hear the music. It's time to close, and we've learned so much, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I do too. Thanks so much for being a listener. Help drive up the number of likes on our Facebook page. It's EWTN Catholic Radio. You can correspond with